Buying a house is one of the most terrifying things you will do in your life. I mean, why not? You are getting into debt for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for a long time. It is also one of the biggest transactions you will do in your lifetime. After all, owning a house is the American dream, isn't it? In this video, I'm going to talk about how many homeowners don't achieve that dream of owning a home, or when they do buy a house, they regret it because they make several mistakes that are costly and deadly. Over the years, I have worked with many home buyers, first-time buyers, second-time buyers, third-time buyers, and I've seen a lot of the buyers who end up not buying their houses, or I've seen buyers that end up buying a house and have some kind of regret, and others who just could not afford to buy a house because of these 5 mistakes. Let's check out those 5 mistakes. One of the most common mistakes that buyers make, would-be buyers who really want to buy a house, is that they don't believe or don't have the commitment that they can buy a house. It's in their head that it's too expensive to buy. That is so not true at all. A lot of the buyers don't end up buying the house because they just did not have the confidence or the belief or the commitment to buy a house. The biggest issue here is they feel they need a lot of money to buy a house. In reality, you don't need a lot of money to buy a house. I'll give you an example. An average home today in USA costs, let's say, around $400,000. It's about $438,000. But let us use an example of a house that costs $400,000. So a lot of the first-time buyers think, oh my God, how can I afford a $400,000 house? In reality, you only need about $14,000 in hand, or even less than that, to buy a house. Because if you get a government loan, an FHA loan, or even a 0% loan, you could end up buying a house for $14,000. It's very reachable, but you must have that belief and that commitment and the confidence that you can buy the house. So I've seen many buyers, even today, even 10 years ago, and I'll see many of those because they don't believe they can buy a house. That's a costly mistake because you're going to keep renting and renting throughout your life and never be a homeowner, never achieve that home American dream, the American dream of owning a house. The other costly mistake that we see over and over again is that once a buyer, a would-be home buyer, in this case, hopefully it's you, are approved to buy a house, let's say for $500,000 or $600,000 or $300,000, what happens is psychologically, the buyer wants to buy something more than they can afford. So if I am approved to buy a $400,000 house, in fact, it is happening to me right now. I have a very good friend of mine looking for a house for $600,000. Actually, he's looking for a 2-bedroom condo. His lender, whom I know very well, told me don't buy anything over $600,000. He's putting 20% down, and yet all the listings my good buyer sends me are listed for $650,000, $660,000. So he's stretching on what he can afford. He likes the homes, the 2-bedroom condos that are listed for $650,000 or $660,000 in the Orange County, California area. He can only buy up to $600,000. Because he's stretching, 2 things are happening. Number 1, he will not find the house that he wants. When he finds a house, he's not going to make an offer because he's trying to lowball the deal or buy it less than $660,000 because he's trying to buy at $600,000. And I've seen this over and over again. And a lot of times, many people can afford to buy a house for $650,000, stretching it from $600,000. So let's say they borrowed extra money or they made some extra money and were able to qualify for a $650,000 house, which the lender said buy for $600,000. But even if they buy the house, after a year, 2 years, the buyers find out that, man, they are really stretching their dollar. They should have stuck with a $600,000 house, let's say with a payment of $3,500 a month, but yet they have a payment of $3,800 a month. Then they find out that after they bought the house, they have a lot of hidden expenses, which I will talk about in the later. So the other common mistake that I'm talking about, or the other costly mistake that I'm talking about, is that don't buy beyond your means. Buy below the means. If you are approved for a $500,000 house, I would recommend you buy something for $475,000 or $450,000 so you don't stretch after you move in and you find the house that you like within those means. Stick to your budget. A lot of people give up buying a house because they don't find the house that they're looking for because they can't afford the $650,000 house when they're approved for a $600,000 house. Or if you buy a house, then you're stretching your dollar and you become a slave to your mortgage. As we go along, please share with us your comments on why you feel some people don't end up buying a house, or what are the costly mistakes they make, so we can share each other's comments with other buyers like yourself. The third costly mistake that a lot of home buyers make, and it's more common today in the last few years than it has been before, is that buyers are chasing the market. What do I mean chasing the market? I'll give an example. Is you are waiting for the perfect time to buy a house. You want to buy at the right price, at the right interest rate, at the right right location. Instead, you should buy when you are ready. So if you are approved to buy a house, let's say for $500,000 right now at 6.5%, look for a house and buy a house in the $500,000 range at 6.5% interest rate. Those are current. But a lot of buyers, they become the expert. Not only do they become the expert, they become the expert of the expert. And they say, you know what? I know the home prices are going to drop. I know the interest rates are going to drop. So I will buy when the interest rate drops. Well, I have some bad news for you. In the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, as you know, the housing market has climbed rapidly, irrationally, and this has never happened before. I know so many buyers, and I have 2 of my good friends who still have not bought. Since 2020, they have been chasing the market. They were looking for a house for $800,000 in 2020, yet they waited for the price to drop. Then the interest rates went down to 3%. They still waited for it to go down because the prices had not gone down. Guess what? Now the home that cost $800,000 in 2021 or 2022 is now costing $1 million. The interest rate now is 6.5%. So now they are out of the market. They were chasing the market to get the best interest rate, and yet they are now out of the market because they are not going to get what they want, and what they could have gotten at $800,000, now they will pay $1 million. So they kept on chasing the market. They are still chasing the market. I hope you're not one of those that is chasing the market, because nobody knows what's going to happen. I have a saying in real estate, the best time to buy, and I get this question asked all the time, when is the best time to buy a house? And my answer always is, the best time to buy is when you are ready to buy, willing to buy, and if you are able to buy. So that's the best time to buy a house. Don't chase the market. Yes, the price may drop. Yes, the interest rate may drop. But what when recession comes in, the prices are so low, interest rates are so low? What if you lost your job? Or if you're married, or if you are siblings and one of you loses a job? You can't buy that house. So there is no perfect time. The best time to buy is when you are ready, willing, and able to buy. And yet I see this mistake made over and over and over again, and I'll see it along as more and more buyers will chase the market and they will not get anywhere, and then they will regret it. In the meantime, they're paying rent every month, not building their equity, not getting tax write-off, and they are back to where they were 3 years ago. In fact, in a deeper hole of buying a house, of reaching their American dream. They may never get there. The fourth very common costly mistake that buyers make is that they are not very well prepared when it comes to buying a house, when it comes to having all the money ready to close. What do I mean by all the money to close escrow? What I mean is there's 2 kinds of closing costs, and most of the buyers only think about the down payment, whether you're buying a house for 3.5% down or 10% down or 20% down. So let's say we are buying a house for $400,000 and you're going to put 10% down, so you have $40,000. So you are ready with $40,000 and you might have $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 extra for other costs. But a lot of buyers, when it comes time to close off escrow, to close the deal, they panic and find out that, hey, they're going to need another $10,000. Usually closing costs are anywhere from 2% to 4% of the purchase price. So in the example of $400,000, let's say the closing cost is 3%, which is another $12,000. Now you have your 10% down payment of $40,000, plus you need another $12,000 in closing cost, which includes your deposits for your property taxes, your prepayment penalty for your insurance, which the lender requires. Then you have your escrow and title fees, or in many states you have attorney fees, you have document preparation fees, there is HOA preparation fees, transfer of title fees. All those add up, and at the close of escrow you panic and find out that you don't have that $8,000 or $12,000, and you end up canceling that escrow or borrowing the money, and you panic and you cancel escrow. And that costs a lot of money. We see it all the time. Anywhere from 10 to 30% of escrows close all along. There's a reason for that. And one of the big reasons is that the buyers are not very well prepared to have all the monies, or they did not do their research to find out exactly how much they're going to need to buy a house. Not just the down payment, but all the deposits and all the funds to close escrow. So be very well educated. When you do talk to your lender or your realtor, ask them everything up front, exactly how much they need. They may not tell you everything, but that's why I wanted to bring this out, because you are aware of what's included to buy a house. It's closing cost plus the down payment. and the emergency funds. And the other costly mistake, which is a very common one, and subconsciously you don't know that you're doing it, but a lot of the buyers become too picky in finding the right house. So yes, you are approved to buy a house for, let's say, $500,000. You have the down payment, you have the closing cost, but your expectations to buy a house is that you are asking for too much. A house is a house at $500,000 in any city. You're gonna get 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, maybe a little yard in a simple neighborhood, maybe 1,500 square feet, but you are special. So you want something that's maybe 2,500 square feet for $500,000. You want 4 bedrooms instead of 3 bedrooms. You want an extra large yard, or you want a bedroom downstairs, or you want a view, or you want a pool. So what it boils down to is that you are qualified for a certain amount of house, and you are being very, very picky in finding that right house. There's nothing wrong with finding the house that you need. Maybe you need a living room or a bedroom downstairs, or you need 2 bathrooms. Yes, that's understandable. Those are your basic things you're going to need to buy a house in your price range, in your area, in your marketplace, at certain market conditions, prices. But when you start adding, hey, now I want a pool, now I want a view, now I want a gated community, now I wanted something newer house. I don't want a 1960s house. I want a 2020 built house. You're getting too picky. You're getting out of your price range. You're getting out of your payment range. And what happens is you get discouraged, you don't find the house, and you give up finding a house, or you get frustrated saying that, hey, realtors are lousy, lenders are lousy, real estate market sucks, and you don't buy the house and you get frustrated. So now what happens is you're losing time and you're paying more rent, you're getting frustrated, and you delay. And as you delay, things can happen. Market changes, interest rate changes, prices changes, or the house that you want becomes more expensive. So instead of buying a $500,000 house that you could have gotten now, you are going to end up paying $550,000 6-7 months down the road because the market is going up. And because you are picky, you are basically, in other words, also chasing the market in a way. The best thing to do is have a certain criterias, have a standard criterias. Once you find that ham, go for it. Once you find that house, go for it and buy for it. I have a saying that if you can find a house that is 8 out of 10, you're doing good. Because there is no perfect home. Even if you build a house today, it's not perfect because you don't know who your neighbor is going to be. Are they going to have 10 dogs next to that? Or are they going to have pets that's going to make noise all day long? Or they might have neighbors that have visitors every weekend. So even if you build a house, there's no perfect home, let alone buying a 20, 30, 40-year-old house and looking for that perfect gem. It's not there, period. Just like there's no perfect wife or there's no perfect husband. 8 out of 10, that's a good thing. So I hope you don't make these costly mistakes, and please watch this video. YouTube is recommending that you watch this video.